What is going on, guys? Psychonaut Warrior here, back with another video. And today we're going to be talking about my 5-gram heroic dose experience that happened probably like 3 weeks ago. But before we want to get into that, man, I just want to thank each and every last one of you guys for sitting through my very first video, which in my opinion was kind of low quality, but you sat through it anyway. We're at 9 subscribers, and it sounds low. If any of you guys, any YouTuber stumbles across this video and you see that I'm happy because we got 9 subscribers, and you laugh it, that's all good, man. It's all about perspective. We have 9 people on the planet Earth that is appreciating the content that I'm putting out, and that really means a lot, man. It really means a lot. Also, not only that, do we have 9 subscribers? The video that we put out yesterday is almost at 100 views. It's at 93 right now. And when I checked the stats on that, the watch time was pretty decent. So it's not just like people clicking on the video and then clicking back off. Like, you guys actually sat through it, which it means a lot, man. It means a lot to me that you're willing to listen to what I have to say. It means a lot for the channel's sake because it helps get the video out there. The video is now at 12 likes, 0 dislikes, I might add, and it's been a lot of positive feedback. I want to give a special shout out to Dinez. I seen that he commented on the video. I appreciate that, man. Big, nothing but respect to him for doing that. Another special shout out to Tana Truckee, who left another comment on the video. Nothing but positive vibes coming out. And last but certainly not least, we have South London 86, who left a comment. I appreciate that, man. It really helps out the channel with the channel engagement. One more plug I want to put out there is, so I run a group on Facebook that you guys are more than welcome to join. I'll leave the link in the description. However, there is a bit of a rigorous process to get in there. I screen the members who are trying to get in, and the reason why I do that is because the group, I didn't really make the group for quantity. I made it for quality. So I don't really want any buttholes or toxic people to get in there. I created the group for people who are interested in sharing their psychedelic experiences and things of that nature. I'm really trying to keep the group positive. I think we're at like 120 members right now. And we're kind of going to sit there for a little bit, but who knows, we may start allowing a lot more people in there, but we really want to make this group to like a community, you know what I'm saying? Everybody kind of knows everybody, and everybody's just sharing their positive feedback. So it's enough on that. We're about 3 minutes, 50 seconds into the video. So let's get into the trip report. Whew, man, this one right here, guys, I'm telling you, this trip was crazy. It was crazy. So I don't necessarily have to go too deep on the background of it, but I really started to look into what mushrooms or magic mushrooms, psilocybin cubensis. I believe the strain was Golden Teachers, and it might have been Burmese. I'm not sure. I have to go back and check on that. I was listening to this guy named Lord Asaran, and one of my buddies, the Dreamer and the Dream, talking about how psilocybin mushrooms can be almost as, if not even more profound than DMT, if done under the right setting and correct dosage. So I was always intrigued to go and try that. But the thing was, because it's not like DMT and the fact that it lasts for 10 minutes, it lasts for a couple hours, I was scared. So I knew that whenever I was going to get my hands on the stuff, I wasn't going to try to do too much. So I was able to get my hands on it. And I was like, you know what? We're going deep today, buddy. We're going deep. This was my first experience. I'll talk about my first experience on the later date, but this was probably like my third or fourth. And I was like, we're going deep. I weighed out about 5 grams, maybe a little bit over 5 grams. It had to be somewhere between like 5.5 and 6, maybe. And I put it in a grinder, and I just started crushing it all up to try to break it up. In the past, I haven't had a lot of success with making tea out of mushrooms, and I haven't had a lot of success with lemon tech. So what I did was I broke up the mushrooms and grinded them up and put them into a cup, and I was just slowly taking them and chasing them down with orange juice, because I read somewhere that vitamin C can help accelerate the trip. And so I'm walking around the house. I'm a little bit nervous. And so I finally get the 5 grams down. And man, you get this eerie feeling. I'm telling you, once you take about like 5 to 6 grams or whatever the amount that you take, that you know that you're going deep, you get this feeling like, man, you did it this time. You did it. There's no going back. I didn't feel nauseous. I knew I wasn't going to puke it up. And so I kind of just, I'm walking around the house, kind of pacing back and forth, checking my nephew out because he's downstairs. And I'm like, yo, I'm going deep. He's like, you going deep? I was like, yeah, man, the mushrooms, we're about to go in. And so to fast forward a little bit, I go upstairs, and I know in the heroic dose, you're supposed to be in the dark by yourself as you allow the trip to kind of come on. So that's what I kind of did. I went upstairs and into one of my rooms, and I locked the door, and I had it nice and dark, and I got my nice eye cover, and I sit back, and I'm just waiting for the trip to come on. It had to be somewhere around like maybe 20 minutes past. I'm not really feeling anything yet. No buzzing. So I get a little bit bored of just sitting around waiting for the experience to come on. So I leave the room, and then I go into the room with my wife. The reason why I did that is because in the process of me walking to the room, I started to feel it come on. And I was like, I'm not going back in the dark. Screw that. I don't care what Terrence McKenna said. I'm not doing that because this stuff is starting to come on. And so I tell her that I'm starting to feel a little sick. I didn't even tell her that I took like 5 grams of mushrooms. So like I lay up under her with the eye cover on, and I'm just like holding her, and she's like rubbing my head and massaging my head because I told her I'm kind of sick. Yeah, I know it was kind of, it was misleading to do that, but I needed some comfort, and I didn't want to tell her why, because she's going to be like, oh Lord, he's on mushrooms again. So, as she was, starting to massage my head, one of her friends called, and the reason why her friend called is because she had tested positive for COVID. And when she said that, this is how I knew that the mushrooms really starting to kick in, because you become so energy sensitive. Like I started picking up her energy, and she was like, I can hear her voice. She was like, I tested positive for COVID. And then like instantly, like I could start to feel her pain, man. I'm like, oh my goodness. She's talking about how she can't smell, how she can't taste. And this woman works closely with my wife at work. And so I'll wrap that into the story. So it could be possible that my wife at the time could have contracted it and then given it to me as well. So that's because she said that, it's now at the back of my head anyway, because it's going to come back up in the trip. You can't bury anything from psychedelics. It's going to dig into your deepest fears, and it's going to bring that out. And so I tapped my wife because this poor woman, she's really going into detail, and I could hear it. I swear it feels like your hearing is like on supercharged while you're on this stuff, man. And I can hear her talk about, her symptoms and how her daughter has it and her husband has it. And man, I'm telling you, I'm so energy sensitive. I'm taking on her pain, man. It's like, oh my goodness. I'm like, I tapped my wife. I said, can you please hang up the phone, please? Can you please hang it up? She's like, why? I'm like, please. I'm not feeling good. Remember, I'm still not being honest with her. I'm not telling her why. And so she kind of gets up. My wife gets up, and then she starts walking in the other room because she doesn't want to hang up on a friend. Her friend just kind of called her to kind of like warn her that she tested positive for COVID, and she kind of needs someone to talk to about it. Anyway, so now I'm laying on the bed by myself, and now the magic is starting to happen. I can start to see like these lights, man, these beautiful lights. It's like a light show or a kaleidoscope show that you can't even imagine, man. They're spinning around, they're flipping, and they're going into each other. I'm like, man, this is an amazing light show, man. I'm just enjoying it. And so I'm sitting in the bed and I'm smiling, and I'm just like, man, this has got to be the most, not the most, but the best show I've ever seen, man. And so at some point I kind of go, ha! And then my wife looks at me and she's like, what the hell? I thought he was sick. And he's smiling. She was like, did you take mushrooms? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh my goodness. And so, man, it's getting amazing. The euphoria is kicking in. I'm feeling the buzz from the mushrooms. I'm seeing a beautiful light show. I got my eye cover over my eyes. And then the trip starts to take a turn, so to speak. Man, now I may edit this video and put in a caveat because I really need to tell you guys this portion, because it's very related to my trip. So the whole reason why I started getting into psychedelics was for spiritual enlightenment, like I said in my first video. And so on that journey, I couldn't find anything that was spiritual, and I wasn't enlightened. So I gave up all spirituality, man. I became like this hardcore atheist, dog, like hardcore. At certain points, I'd be debating people with religion and stuff like that. And after a while, I'd grown tired of doing that. And I was just like, man, if there's some kind of God out there to come to me, as for right now, I'm just not convinced. And so to wrap it back into the trip report, like I'm doing these trips to try to encounter the creator, so to speak. And so that's what I asked for. And be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it, because man, that's what happened to me. So as the trip started to get starts to change directions, I was like instantly transported into like this realm. It's almost like a DMT realm, but it's quite different. And in this realm, there's a bunch of like old dead bodies that's just like skeletons everywhere, man. This whole entire place is just me all by myself, and the sky looks like a pinkish a pinkish orange color, like, and it's kind of like dark and gloomy, and there's skeletons and bodies everywhere. And I'm getting the feeling that what this is, like, and it was kind of like a clairvoyant voice. You guys can correct me if I use that term wrong, but it was like a voice that came in my head was saying, like, this is a representation of you. You're spiritually dead. This is why whenever you use these psychedelics, you don't encounter any spirits or anything like that or anything spiritual. You're spiritually dead. That's why you're an atheist right now. And then, so now I'm starting to do some deep reflection on myself. And then I'm like, man, like, cause I forgot at this point that I took 5 grams. Now I'm just like being transported here. And they're like, it's weird because if you can take these substances and remember that you're taking them, it's kind of rare. But like in this, I'm going back and forth between realities, man. So now I kind of come out of it because this stuff hits you in waves. Like you get hit with a wave, like boom, and then you'll like reflect on your life and you'll be in this different dimension and you'll come back. And so like when I came back, I kind of sit up on the bed and I'm like, oh shoot, this stuff is happening. Because now what's starting to go on is that my ego is starting to dissolve. I'm starting to get sucked into, I'm getting sucked into my bed and I'm starting to lose my sense of self. So I sit up and I'm fighting with the trip. And let me just go ahead and say, man, a lot of people say that when that happens, you're supposed to let go. I'm going to tell you from my experience only, that that's just a cliche and it's not as easy as it sounds, because you can try to let go. It's not like you have it's not like you holding a 5-pound weight in your hand and you let go. It doesn't work like that. Letting go does not work like that at all. I think what letting go is basically the psychedelic or whatever it is that you took overwhelms you so much to the point where you can't fight it back anymore. As long as you have the ability to fight back, your ego is going to fight back because that's what it naturally does. It's trying to survive. Saying let go, it's almost like, I've used this before. It's almost like saying that you have a group of 10 people with baseball bats and they're all beating the living snot out of you. And someone is saying, just let it happen. You're not going to just let that happen. So it's a natural reflex for you to cover up and protect yourself. So that's what my ego is doing. So every time, like, I would get sucked away into the trip and I started to dissolve with everything inside the room and start to fade away to this point where I don't exist anymore. I would sit up and I'd be like, and then my wife would be looking at me like, you okay? I'm like, I was like, to be honest right now, I don't know what's real. I don't know what's real. I don't know if what you're saying to me, am I okay if that's real, or what does that even entail? I don't know. I don't know anything right now. Like, I'm serious. I'm dead serious with her. And she's like, oh God, he's on mushrooms. And so I lay back down. And so now I'll try to explain this the best way I can. I'm starting to encounter the creator / God, so to speak. I'm like in a direct, I want to say confrontation, but we are like, I'm going to use a metaphor. We're face to face, but in that experience, you're not face to face, but I'll use it. This is the best way I can describe it. I'm face to face with this being. And it's like, it's basically saying, you wanted me, I'm here, so now deal with it. Boom. And it'll hit me with a wave and I'll be like, oh, and I'm just reflecting on my life, talking about, all the bad stuff I did. Just like, oh, you're this piece of, you know what? you treat people bad. You treat this person bad. This person loves you to death. You're not there for them. All you do is think about yourself. And now you want to encounter me? I'm like, no, it's not like that. Boom! Another reflection. Look how you treated this person. And then I feel their pain. And oh my goodness, man. It was so overwhelming. I'm like, please just stop. It's ripping my mind apart. Oh, it's ripping your mind apart. Boom! Here's another wave. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. And so and then like all the people that I kind of debated with and talked about how God isn't real and all that stuff. Like, it was like, look how you in your state, you was trying to rip their faith away when you had no idea. I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm telling you, I was trying my best at that particular time to pop out of that trip just so I can log on social media, go through all my comments in these Facebook groups where I used to debate with people and just delete and just tell them all, hey man, I'm sorry. There's a God. I'm sorry. There's a like, and then as I was trying to do that, it was like, no. You don't get to correct that now. You're here. Boom. I'm just getting smacked with wave after wave after wave. And I'm just like, oh no, please stop. Please stop. And so now, like there was no like reconciliation. I couldn't reconcile with this God creator thing. It was just, no, you're a piece of dirt. You don't deserve to be in my presence. Just take all the pain that you've inflicted on other people and feel it on yourself. And so I'm thinking, and so like a clear thought comes and all that, if I can even put it that way, because my thoughts are going crazy. Like every single wrong that I've done to every single person in my whole entire life is just smashing me and smashing me and smashing me. And a clear thought comes. I don't know how it was able to come, but it's like people don't know what they're worshiping. Like there's a select group of religious fundamentalists that worship this God thing. They don't know. Because if I consider myself, maybe this just might be my ego, I consider myself not that bad of a person. But each and every piece of wrong that I've done, doesn't matter how small it was unworthy. Doesn't matter what the reason was. Your reason could have been something that you rationalized in your head why you did it, but you think it's not that bad. But it was so unworthy to this being that I just didn't deserve to be in his presence. And I'm thinking to myself that each and every single person who worships this thing has no idea what it is that they're worshiping. Because when they finally encounter this thing, it's going to spit. And some of these people have done way worse things than I have. And when they encounter it, it's going to rip their mind apart, because they're going to have to look right back at themselves as it crushes them. I'm like, y'all don't know what y'all worshiping, man. Anyway, so after it rips me apart, I don't know what the time was, because you lose track of time because you're stuck in infinity. That's all I could think. And now the wave it's on a down wave, but the trip is far from over. But I am on a downward wave of the experience, so to speak. So I kind of sit up. I asked my wife, I'm like, yo, is so-and-so okay? So now I'm so concerned with everyone. This makes you the most unselfish person on the planet. I'm concerned with everybody in the house. I'm like, yo, is so-and-so okay? She's like, yeah, he's good. I'm like, I'm asking my sons, I'm like, are they okay? I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, we're good. I'm like, are you sure? Yeah, you're good. And so I was like, man, yo, I'm not feeling great right now. And so she like touches me, and she's like, oh my goodness, you're burning up. I'm like, what? And so she takes my temperature. My temperature is like 105 degrees. She's like, oh my goodness. It's possible you probably got COVID. That's the worst thing she could have ever said, man. I'm telling you, when you're in that state like that and someone tells you anything remotely bad or you see it, oh my goodness, man. My whole entire body just felt it. I was like, oh man. And it's like I could see the COVID. I understand that, it's just a trip, but it is what it is. I can just like see the COVID virus. It's like emulating throughout my whole entire body. And I'm just like, man, it's like taking me down. And so like, I don't know, maybe I'm like delusional at this point. And I'm just like, COVID, if you're in my body right now, this is the wrong time to be in here. You have no idea what spiritual experiences I'm going through right now. And so like I like ball up my fist and it's like crunches down the virus in it and it balls every last piece of the virus up and it relocates it to like the back right side of my back, kind of close to my lower right kidney, and it sits it there. And then that part of my body started getting so hot, like extremely hot. And it was like, I would sit up and I'd be like, dang, man, is there some kind of like, I don't know. If you ever sat in a car that has like seat heaters, that's what it felt like. And I sat up and that whole phase kind of just faded away. But at least I felt like I dealt with the COVID. I don't know, whatever. Oh wow, man, we're already 27 minutes into the video. Okay, so we're now at the point where I'm super empathetic and I'm just like worrying about everybody. And so I'm like, man, I need to get downstairs and check on my nephew, make sure he's okay. I finally get the strength to get up. My experience is wonky. Whenever I close my eyes, I can see like these Aztec patterns, and it's like snake way. I don't know how to explain that, man. It's crazy. And so I get downstairs as quick as I can. I check on my nephew. He's in the bed asleep. It's probably like 1 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, yo, man. Yo, I'm like tapping him. Get up. Get up. He's like, what? It's like, yo, man, the mushrooms got me, yo. He's like, I'm like, for real, man, yo, the mushrooms got me. And then he's like, okay, well, whatever. And so I lay down on the floor, boom, gone again. Sucked. I got smacked with another wave. And this time I'm like, I don't know, like maybe I want to say the center of the universe. I'm not really me at this point. I'm just like this, how can I explain? This awareness that's just observing things. Nothing too special happened there. It's almost like my whole entire identity has been ripped. I don't even know that I'm human. I forgot that I was human, and I'm just an observer at this point. And the center of the universe, and what I do is I just observe. There's no questions to be asked. Nothing to be thought about. No thoughts. Just an observer. And that's all I was. Just think of it like you're this gigantic star. Super massive, gigantic star. And your whole purpose is just to be there and just observe. And so the wave started to fade off from that. And then I get up. I'm like, I got it. I know exactly what to do because this trip is getting crazy right now. I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'm going to urinate, and that'll get some of it out of my system because I need to come out of this trip. This is too crazy. And so I go to the bathroom, and the way that my bathroom lights are set up, it's like an adjustment. So you can adjust how bright it is and how dim it is. I turn it so that it looks a little bit dim. And then I look into the mirror, and my face is like flipping in and out and back and forth. It was the scariest thing I ever seen. And I'm like, no way. I'm not going to that bathroom. I instantly turned around and I ran upstairs. I ran upstairs and I went back into my room and I started tapping my wife and stuff. Yo, hey, I'm not well at all. I'm doing bad. I need help. She's like, what? No. Just leave me alone. I'm trying to sleep. I'm like, I need help. You need to get up. I need help. Because my brain is being ripped apart, man. I'm telling you. And so as we progress, nothing else too spiritual and crazy thing like that now. So now I'm just dealing with the trip on the way down. And for the come down for me with golden teachers, it just feels like something's just tearing my mind apart. And the best way I can explain it, it's like this entity it doesn't have a purpose. It doesn't have a purpose, and it doesn't know what it's doing. It doesn't know what it's doing is good, and it doesn't know what it's doing is bad. But what it's doing, it has like this probe, and it's in my brain, and it's just like, let's see what happens when I turn his brain to this frequency. And then I just feel like and I'm just like, oh my goodness, why would you do that? And it's just like, it doesn't respond. And it waits a couple minutes and it does it again. I'm like, yo, what kind of being would do this to somebody? This is torture. And so I deal with that, I don't know, for hours, man. For hours, maybe 3 to 4 hours. Up until the trip kind of wears off. I finally able to go to sleep. And that's pretty much it. There's a lot more into that trip that happened, but what happens is, oh man, it's so much information in that realm that you can't take it all back with you. One thing that I clearly remember, which I kind of forgot to talk about, was while this is happening to me, I was like, I cannot wait to tell people about what the heck happened to me. It's just crazy. I can't wait to tell them. And it said to me, like, you actually think that you can take this information back with you? Like, it said it in the most condescending way possible. It was like, you actually think you can take this back? I don't know, man. But anyways, I'm going to conclude the video here because we're 32 minutes into it. I'm sorry for it to be so long, but it was such a crazy trip. So crazy. I tried to give you guys as much as I could remember from it. Like I said, I know a lot more happened to me. I just can't remember it all to put it into words. And some of that stuff was so alien. It's impossible to put it into words. Like I can't. I have other trips that I've had, and I cannot put that into words. You can't. I'd be just BSing you at the point, trying to explain it to you. I tried to use some kind of words to make it relatable so that you guys can understand. But even if you did understand it, whatever you understood wasn't the experience. It was the best that I could relate it to. So, and anyway, man, I appreciate if you made it all the way to the end of this video, man. I appreciate it, man. Tomorrow, if everything goes to plan, I'm going to bring another member from the group that I was telling you guys about onto the we're just going to have like a little small podcast, and we're just going to talk about different things. We won't have a planned topic, but for the most part, it's going to be about psychedelics and our experience with it, how it's made you a better person and stuff like that. But like I said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and check off for the final time, and I'll see you guys later, man. I'm out. Peace.